Now if I go over here, we've got the epilogues. Are we ready? Are we excited? So you might notice something about the formatting of the Homestuck epilogues. I don't know if you've actually seen this whole page before. I think this is specifically the one that is not... Yeah, it doesn't have... the tags aren't ordered in any way. Because... better. Yeah, presented exactly like this. If you've ever been to Archive of Our Own, you might recognize the general layout of the AO3 homepage of anything on there. We've got all the characters, including original male characters and original female characters. We got all the categories of ship. We got the rating mature, so this is only for adults. And then we've got our list of content warnings. We've got graphic depictions of violence. We have major character death. We have rape. The economy. Xenophobia. Pregnancy. Alternate universe. Mind control. Non-con. Breastfeeding. Misogyny. Sexism. Transphobia. Misgendering. Canon compliance and canon divergent. Redemption. Dubious consent. Mind break. World war. Political intrigue. Robots. Child abuse. Rough sex. Child neglect. Alcohol use. Breast milk. Death. Incestuous undertones. Mental illness. Suicide. Polyamory. Clown dynamics. Meta. Abuse. Bridging. Genocide. Diapers. Murder. Honk. Children. Gender transition. Depression. Toxic masculinity. Sexual abuse. Friends to lovers. Speciesism. Babies. Manipulation. Gore. Infidelity. Marriage. Non-binary characters. Milking. Identity questioning. Beat. Political rebellion. Fascism. Rapping. Drug use. Funerals. Religion. Eating. Food. Aliens. Possession. Light BDSM. Theft. Furry. Anthropomorphic characters. Power imbalances. Blood. Trickster mode. Body horror. Gerrymandering. Starvation. Cuckolding. Interspecies relationships. Guns. Vor. Assassination. Alien biology. Detransitioning. Chronic illness. Vomit. Drugging. Cannibalism. Unhealthy relationships. Capitalism. Eggs. slut-shaming, black romance, kidnapping, fago, bimbification, poisoning, teenagers, domestic abuse, reality television, ovipositioning, ghosts, revolutionary rhetoric, self-sacrifice, propaganda, super PACs, Pika, early 20th century dance movements, prison camps, existential crisis, xenophilia, daddy issues, bad parenting, addiction, and clown. So, if you have issues with any of these, they do all come up in the Homestuck epilogues, some of them less prominently than others, but if you have issues with clowns, for example, you're probably going to have a bad time. A lot of clowns. Gamzee features prominently. Like, very prominently. There's a lot of Gamzee. Language is in English. And we have the different parts of the epilogue after the prologue. 10 years after their adventure began, the heroes are enjoying a well-earned retirement on Earthsea, but John still has one last choice to make. Oh, I haven't started yet. This is how you're going to experience the epilogues? You haven't read them? Oh. Well, I'm glad that you're going to have an interesting time. I'm trying to see if Hazy's going to be here anytime soon. It doesn't look like it. I'll be there in a Hazy 15. We got Brioche's here at least. Flowerheart, you're here, welcome. And Landfall, obviously. I hope you're going to enjoy this. We got Cronus Sprockets, Ultimator. You haven't. Well, I'm glad that me reading them is going to be the way you're going to experience it. So, we're going to start with the prologue. It starts with a crack. Everything else rises up from that like steam, a trembling thread that cuts through space in jagged lines, splintering the void into razor-sharp shards of putrefying leptons and quarks, popping apart like raw eggs in a microwave. It's coming undone at a subatomic level, from the bottom up, from the inside out. From the top down, it looks like the eye of a storm, a black hole so supermassive that it spans the width of eternity. It turns infinity into something as thin and fragile as cellophane, shreds it of its dimensions, a piece of paper pinched together at either end, a hole poked through it. At the center of that hole, the edges can be heard fraying. Pandemonium as continuity buckles in the middle and the two ends come smashing together. Around the hole, ghosts scream. They claw at the dying borders of their dreams with a fingernail-chipping desperation. They whip together like the wind, trailing the mutilated streaks of the hypothetical futures with them. It's a multi-fractal neon cyclone of primordial conclusion, a churning blender of hyperfinal, catastrophically terminal, overwhelmingly permanent double death. The screaming distorts and plunges low as it gets closer to the cavity. At the center, that distortion turns into an eerie music. That's where the cacophony ends. The shattering, the screaming, the squelching, the sounds of elemental particles being torn apart like string cheese shoved through a meat grinder and dumped down a strangely melodious garbage disposal. It all returns to the same tonic dominant, matching pitch and tone, ironing out the rebellious flats and sharps until the discordance becomes exquisite, a subharmonic symphony that can only be heard in the bones. At the dead center of the event, it is extremely quiet. A silence made of all the suffering that limitless sempiternity can hold, bleeding together until the prism turns to obsidian. It's too vast to comprehend, too black to behold without closing your eyes. Retreating to the back of your own eyelids is to seek the comfort of a familiar darkness. To reject an absolute tenebrosity so perfectly alien, it threatens to rip the humanity right through your eye sockets. This is the end of everything. This is the end of paradox space. You wake up. So, what the hell is sempiternity? I forgot. Sempiternity. Future duration without end. Existence within time but infinitely into the future. The property of being perpetual, seemingly ceaseless. Hey, it's a new word for everyone. I didn't know that one. I've read this before, but obviously I didn't look it up last time. Because the last time I read the epilogues was in... I think it was 2020 still. I think the last time I read the epilogues was in 2020. It is roughly 5 years ago, because I read them in September, right after I finished Homestuck. I went straight on to the epilogues. And then straight into Homestuck too, actually. And then I started reading a bunch of fanfic. So it's been a long time. I've read Homestuck in the time since, once, obviously, with Hazy and with other people. But I haven't actually read the epilogues again. There's a hydration check, and that is a good idea. I'm going to go get some water. Usually I would encourage everyone to get some sort of nice alcoholic beverage, like a gin and tonic. But I had one yesterday and I need to let my liver rest, so let's not do that. And we're going to be drinking water very responsibly. I had my energy drink earlier today, so I'm not allowed to have another one. And I kind of want to save my tonic. I have a bunch of tonic in my fridge. So we wake up. Your name is John Egbert, and you have just had a terrible, deeply pretentious nightmare. You snap out of bed, soaked in sweat, your heart hammering like a fire alarm. It is just as you feared. You've been dreaming in anime again, and you have no idea what it could mean. Look outside, just to make absolutely sure the world is not ending. The sun is coming in through your window in bars of soft yellow. The only sound you can hear for miles is the wind skimming the hollows of your neighbor's pipe homes. It's a normal day in the Salamander Village, which you refer to as Salamander Village because the damn salamanders never bothered to give this village a name, you guess? Absolutely nothing of note has ever happened here in the entire history of the planet, which you would know, because you created it. Beside your pillow, your phone is vibrating. Rose is calling. The screen of your phone reads 9:30 a.m., April 13th. And also the number 46, which is how many text messages your friend left you while you were sleeping. A bit excessive, even for her. Answer the phone. Since when are you known to operate your telephone? Since, I don't know. Has it really been that long since I called? I can't remember the last time. Neither can I. Anyway, what's up? First of all, happy birthday. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Fuck. I forgot. Am I correct in presuming this April 13th will be as uneventful as the last? Yeah, I don't want to do anything this year. I hope that's okay. Of course it's okay. It's your birthday, after all. Rose? Yes? You wander to the window and watch the salamanders go about their day. All over the neighborhood, the little dad salamanders are putting on their little rumpled hats and picking up their little suitcases and kissing their little families goodbye for the day. You've always been confused about what, exactly, they contribute to the global economy. But it's pretty cute how much they love playing at being suburban businessmen. The silence over the phone is growing awkward. You've stalled long enough. You decide to just come out and say it. I've been dreaming in anime again lately. I have no idea what it could mean. I see. It's horrible. Every time. And I don't mean because anime is bad or anything. It's not that. Whenever I have these dreams, everything's breaking apart. Millions of people are screaming and dying. I mean, dying permanently. Not the kind of bullshit dying that we've been doing a lot over the years. A couple yards over, a salamander blows an astounding spit bubble. Truly one for the books. Your eyes trace this meandering journey into the sky as you gather your thoughts. What do you think it all means? What do I think what means? I know a hazy number is longer, hazy. Don't worry. What do you think it means that I've been dreaming in anime? I don't have the slightest idea what it means that you've been dreaming in anime, John. To be honest, You wait for Rose to finish her thought. She doesn't, which is troubling because you've never known Rose to leave a thought unfinished in over 10 years of acquaintance. You suppose it's possible it may have happened one of the times she died. You wouldn't bet on it, though. Rose? Are you okay? Not exactly. What's wrong? I think my condition's been getting worse lately. You left? No. Condition is why my messages... Well, why my message probably sounded urgent. You left 46 messages. Yes. They were all urgent. Oh. I don't think I can wait much longer before telling you. I held out for as long as I could. I figured your birthday was as good a time as any to let you know. Let me know what? It's crept up on me these last couple of years. Gradually enough to ignore as it was happening, but I can't anymore. Lately, the visions have been overwhelming. Visions? John, I have terrible headaches these days. Talking on the phone doesn't help at all. Would you mind flying to my apartment so we can continue this in person? Oh, yeah. You mean now? Yes, now is the time. I've put it off long enough. You move the phone away from your ear and assume an expression you haven't practiced in years. It is the look of a man who actually has something to do. Holding the phone directly in front of your face, you speak into the receiver. Okay, I'm on my way. Bye, Rose. As you hang up the phone, a familiar feeling settles over you. The feeling of standing, and being alone in your bedroom as a young man on your birthday. You swear you've felt this feeling before. It's almost like a young man stands alone in his bedroom. It just so happens that today, the 13th of April, is this young man's birthday. Though it was 23 years ago when he was given life, and 10 years ago when he was given a name. Feels like it is only today that he will begin to understand what all that means. That young man is you, John Egbert. What will you do? So for a little bit of recap for Hazy, who missed the beginning of this, right? John is dreaming in anime. And specifically the dream that John is having is one of a supermassive black hole tearing reality apart. Just absolutely destroying reality and everyone in it. And that's bad. It's a bad thing to be experiencing. You don't want to be having anime dreams. Anime dreams are bad for you. Anime dreams suck, exactly. When you arrive at Rose's apartment, you find her asleep on the couch. You slide the balcony door open quietly. Rose? Her eyes flutter open. She looks like a ghost, but not the kind of ghost that looks and acts exactly like an alive person. How long have I been sleeping? I don't know. I just got here. Are you okay? I'll be fine. That looks like a lot of pills you're taking there. Yeah. It's not what you're thinking, though. What am I thinking? These are controlled substances that have been prescribed by a legitimate doctor to ease the symptoms of my condition. I'm using them only as instructed. Okay? So, there's nothing to worry about. But you said you have a condition. Isn't that bad? You watch her rise in stages. Her arm is trembling where she's bracing it on the couch. Oh. Yes. The condition itself is not ideal, obviously. And perhaps it does constitute something to worry about in the context of a different conversation. All I'm trying to say is, I'm not backsliding, if that's what you're thinking. You spend several pregnant moments saying nothing at all in response to this. You examine Rosa's supine, languid form on the couch, optimistic that she will continue speaking any moment now. I struggled with substance abuse for a while, years ago, remember? Rose, Jesus, I wasn't going to accuse you of being a drug addict, and I didn't fly over here to give you an intervention. It sounded like you had some important stuff to tell me, and the fact that you also seem to be sick is more than a little alarming. I wouldn't say I'm sick. Just having spectacularly debilitating headaches as a result of my visions becoming more frequent. Oh, yeah. What are these visions you're having? I'm a seer of light, John. I know. So you mean like your standard psychic visions about the future and stuff? What's going to happen? Should we be worried? It doesn't technically pertain to the future. Well, not our future. My abilities have broadened considerably beyond their previous horizon. They shed light on many unseen events, past, present, future, in realities and frames of reference that have no intersection with ours at all. It seems to be an unfortunate side effect of God-tier abilities. They can advance at a rate beyond one's physical ability to keep up with. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to be happening to anyone other than me. Yeah, I can't say I've noticed anything like that, or improvement in my powers for that matter. It's not about gaining additional power so much as the gradual dissolving of the boundaries between your own awareness and that of your many doomed selves who perished in other timelines. It's a slow and apparently rather uncomfortable accretion of knowledge. Perhaps I'm the only one to notice any change, as my aspect explicitly relates to knowledge. I guess that all makes sense. So, what are these visions showing you? Many things. They're quite disjointed, and sometimes hard to rearrange into coherence. But in totality, I've pieced together a greater understanding of our present situation, and all the events that led us here. You watch Rose stagger to her feet and cross the apartment. At the kitchenette, she knocks back another pill with a practiced motion, no water. A vacant stare drills into the countertop as she quietly waits for the medication to take effect. And what? What is it about our situation that you wanted to tell me? Is it bad? Good and bad are words that don't mean anything beyond a certain threshold of mortal consideration. There's a different skill I've come to understand. Another dichotomy that's less emotional, I guess. Consider, instead of using the word good, using the word essential. And what exists at the opposite polarity from essential is something that is best not to contemplate. What are you talking about? This sounds fucked up. Yes, that sounds like a reaction you would definitely have to the things I'm telling you. I really should cut it out and start from the beginning. You follow Rose to the balcony. She raises a hand and points directly into the clear blue sky. She points with purpose, as if to say, there, right there, precisely, is where the green sun would be if it still existed. The green sun is gone. What? It has been destroyed. At least, from the current frame of reference it has. It still existed, and therefore in a way that's hard to explain, currently exists over a nearly infinite span of time, presiding over the birth and death of countless universes. But this universe, our universe, is not one of them. You saw this in a vision? No. Jade told me. She did? How does she know? She can't draw from his power anymore. She no longer has the ability of a first guardian. It has been this way for several years. I suspect she's kept this fact down low, however. That's surprising, I guess. Or maybe not. I don't know. It's not like she tells me a whole lot these days. It's also not like she's had any particular need to unleash the full fury of the green sun. Not while she's been gallivanting around with Dave and Karkat under whatever perplexing social arrangement they have settled on. Anyway, her account of the sun's destruction syncs up with the data supplied by my visions. I have no doubt it's gone. How did that happen? It doesn't matter much for our purposes. There was a cataclysmic event, a suicide strike by a very powerful being. Much like the one Dave and I attempted once upon a time. But it turned out the explosive force we released was only a catalyst, a causal gesture. What was needed to destroy the sun was a consumptive assault. Consumptive? The entire sun was swallowed by a supermassive black hole. I digress, though. You press your eyes shut just for a moment. Behind them, you see a black hole so supermassive that it spans the width of eternity. You quickly open your eyes again and pretend to forget what you just saw. There's really no route through this expository garden path that will adequately cushion you from the bottom line, John. You will need to travel back into canon and defeat Lord English. You shrug and try to look casual. You pull off the most casual shrug that a guy has ever shrugged when being presented with the inevitability of his own fate. If Rose were looking at you right now, she would totally be convinced that you are approaching this topic with a level of nonchalance that is entirely plausible and genuine. You are sure of it. Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to come up again someday. I'm sure we all did. That is, even those of us without visions. I was doing my best not to think about it. I guess we can't put it off any longer then? Now is the time. We are rapidly approaching a point of no return. If the decision isn't made soon, it will be too late. The issue will no longer matter. When exactly is the point of no return? Today. Wow. Okay then. First, one question. Why? Why what? Why do I need to go back and beat him? I mean, sorry if this is a stupid question. I guess he's a huge awful monster, and that's just what you're supposed to do with huge awful monsters. Take them down for their crimes and such. But why does he actually need to be defeated at all? To be honest, it's been years since we've even bothered thinking about any of this, and everything seems... Take a look around and survey the current status of all life on Earth, which is totally possible to do from the vantage point of a single apartment balcony. Fine? Of course everything is fine here. We're outside of canon now. Yeah, I know. What does that actually mean, though? Are you saying this isn't really happening? Of course it's happening. Just because certain events take place outside of canon, it doesn't mean those events are non-canon. Oh. In other words, there is an important distinction between events which can be considered to occur inside canon, outside canon, and those which are not canon at all. The day we went through that door and claimed our reward, we passed a threshold between continua marked by differing degrees of relevance, truth, and essentiality. Those are the 3 pillars of canon. What? Rose shoots you an irritated look. You know what that look means. It's reserved for the sort of bozo who just said what once too often. Any event said to take place inside canon will have non-zero values of relevance and essentiality while maintaining an absolute foundation in truth by definition, whereas events outside of canon have diminished values of relevance and essentiality, or, for the most part, can be considered neither relevant nor essential at all. But such events can't be said to be untrue, either. Instead, it is better to regard their truth value as highly conditional. Are you still following? Say, oh yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, totally. So, to be clear, everything that's taken place here on Earth-C since we exited canon can be considered completely irrelevant, and for the most part, absolutely inessential. Yet, none of it can be called untrue. At least, up until precisely today. Okay, then what does non-canon mean? Events that are formally non-canon have no truth whatsoever, by definition. They may have relevance and essentiality values that are non-zero, or even quite high, but only as projections along an imaginary axis, resulting from highly subjective frames of reference. But due to those events having no truth, and thus carrying no real weight, the other properties are basically rendered meaningless. You can feel your eyes go wide as the gears in your head slow to a stop. The implications of what Rose are saying are as vast as they are completely incomprehensible. Your mind has just been blown. John, are you okay? Your pupils have gone quite wide, thereby facilitating the appearance that your mind has just been blown. Sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. You, of all people, really should have a good intuitive grasp over these concepts already. You're the one with the retcon powers, after all. I know. Like, I mostly get it, I think. I just wouldn't have thought to put all of this in such a jargony way. Sorry, that's kind of what I do. It's fine. I'm just a bit rusty is all. It feels like it's been so long since I did, or even thought about anything that mattered at all. Yes. The longer we live outside of canon, the more tenuous our relationship with canon becomes. Hence the urgency. Then, what's going to happen if we keep dragging our feet? I mentioned that events outside canon have a truth value that tends to be conditional, remember? Well, I did, but let me put it another way. As long as we live outside canon, everything that happens will technically be real, but only conditionally. There are certain crucial events inside canon which must happen in order to continue to prop up the legitimacy of events here on Earth-C. And you, specifically, John, have a responsibility to make sure those events take place. And I take it that means going back and killing Lord English? Yes. His defeat is the keystone to this entire continuity. Much like his life, in some sick way, governed the overall design of the bridge which that keystone was holding up. But without it, all of this falls apart. Everything we've been through in a way that's impossible for a single mind to fully comprehend becomes retroactively discredited. So, reality will be destroyed or something? Hasn't that already sort of happened? I mean, when all the black space started cracking? No, this consequence isn't physical or even a disruption of the timeline. It's more of a conceptual unraveling. If you miss the chance to authenticate canon events, something will take place that's a bit difficult to describe. But I've encountered a term for it. It's called dissipation. Like a notional fading, as if something somewhere is undergoing a process of forgetting, and we are what's being forgotten. All ideas, people and their full potentialities, possible outcomes and their specific unfolding, all these things live inside conscious frameworks. The further removed we get from authentication of canon events, the less relevant they become, and they slowly fade from the conscious frameworks which kept them stable. Make a theatrically startled expression. Okay, I guess we don't want that to happen, or unhappen. Whatever. So I just retcon poof back to English and start like brawling with the dude? Don't be ridiculous. You wouldn't last a second. You'll need a team. Also, you don't want to just dive headlong into a battle with his hulking adult form. That would be tactically foolish and furthermore would skip over some very important steps needed to authenticate canon. Like, what? I mentioned that English's defeat was the keystone to the continuity, but this is an oversimplification. Yikes. Well, we sure as fuck wouldn't want to simplify anything. John, please don't be a bitch. I'm unwell, remember? Sorry. The true keystone, which is a necessary component of his defeat, is the artifact. The house-shaped object you stuck your hand in to gain your retcon powers. Oh, yeah. While empty, it resembles a gap, like a hole in canon, whose only purpose is to be filled. In serving that purpose, it grants one with the radical canon-altering powers that would be needed to fill it. Once filled, it becomes solid. No longer a gap, but a serviceable load-bearing wedge in our continuity, like a keystone. And once again delivered to English and directed his way, it empties itself again, releasing its narrative-bridging payload. It functions as a weapon, and in some manner will bring about his demise. In some manner? It's a complicated artifact. As old and unfathomable as anything else in Paradox space. Like the Green Sun, or English himself. Don't worry about it for now. The important thing is that, in the due course of your travels, you end up loading and unloading this weapon. How am I going to do that? Once you set things in motion, it should just happen naturally through the narrative momentum of your journey. I'm really just warning you about it, rather than instructing you. Okay. Thanks. You're welcome. Rose looks at her phone. You recognize Kanaya's distinct typing style in the window. Rose's thumbs begin to fly across her keypad. She continues to text as she talks. So, if we're going to go back and kill him in time to authenticate canon, I guess we have to get going soon. Like, today? Yes. Are you sure you're actually up for a fight, though? No offense, but you're looking a little worse for wear. I'm not going. Oh. None of us are. Only you. What? But you said... John? This is the victory state. What the hell does that even mean? When we went through the door and passed beyond the threshold of canon, we effectively retired from bearing any responsibility for influencing canon events. We've all been sort of decommissioned as active players on the cosmic stage, with severely diminished relevance attributes. All of us except for you, of course, since you've retained your retcon abilities. Okay, I get that. Kind of. But couldn't you all just come along anyway? We could, but it wouldn't serve any purpose. It wouldn't plug up the remaining dark spots in canon. You'll need a group of active players, those still stuck inside the stream of canonic karma. Who? Nothing too extravagant, just different versions of us, younger versions, from a particularly dysfunctional impasse in our journey. Well, it's impasse, isn't it? But Rose would probably say impasse anyway, because she's... Anyway. I can point out the exact moment in canon you should be disrupting and how you should disrupt it. In fact, I've already written it down to spare you the trouble of remembering. Rose leads you back inside and retrieves a letter from her desk. She hands it over, still typing one-handed on her phone. She sits down and you read the letter. Huh. Is anything confusing about my instructions? No, I remember all this. It shouldn't be a problem. It's just weird to think about revisiting this. It seems like an eternity, like we were all completely different people back then. I assure you, we are all still fundamentally the same bunch of losers. Rose is ultimately right about that, the way she is about most things. You continue to scan the letter and grimace slightly. Did I really punch her in the face? I felt kind of bad about it, the last time I did that to someone. Yes, you absolutely should and must punch her in the face. You exhale and turn the paper over in your hands. The other side is blank. You flip it back over, having fully processed the instructions drafted in the polished purple handwriting. You like how Rose still writes in purple, after all these years. Some things never change. Alright, this seems straightforward enough. I mean, aside from the part where we all have to fight an invincible monster. He isn't entirely invincible. He'll be vulnerable to today's weapon. I believe other gambits should present themselves as well. I don't think it would serve the mission well for me to tell you exactly how it will go. But at least I can offer this bit of encouragement. If you follow my instructions, English will be defeated. It is an absolutely essential outcome. And essential, if you'll remember, is the word we should be using instead of good. I see you're advising we go after him when he's young. I guess that makes sense. Go get him before he gets all big and strong. Like, kind of a surprise attack? Sure. That dude sucks. He was taunting me a while back. Like, I think he wants me to come fight him? Anyway, I just ignored him obviously, because I'm not a stupid idiot. But I guess today will be his lucky day. You take a seat next to Rose on the couch. Examine your friend. Her eyes are closed and her hands are folded in her lap. She's not asleep, but she looks wasted. Like all the life in her has been sucked out through a straw. Like she's insubstantial. When you were kids, you always thought that Rose Lalonde had all the answers. That she could fix any problem with a wall of text and a witty rejoinder. You guess that much about her hasn't changed. She's still trying to solve the problems you all left behind. You can't believe how sick she looks. How did this happen to her? I should probably get going and let you rest. We can talk all about it when I get back. I'll fill you in on how it went. Hopefully you'll be feeling better by then. Oh, yeah. Is something wrong? Rose opens her eyes and looks at you, but she says nothing. Just looks. I'm not scared, if that's what you're worried about. You already said we're going to defeat him, so nothing to fret over, right? Yes, you... Something flickers through her eyes, almost too quick to catch. When she smiles at you, it's warm and sincere. You're going to do great. Rose slides her arms around you. After a while, she releases you from the embrace and gets up to fetch her bottle of pills. She pauses at the bedroom door to look at you one more time. Goodbye, John. She closes the door behind her. Look at the letter. You run your thumbs along the edge of the paper. Is this really it? One hug from Rose and you're off to face your destiny? The instructions in the letter are clear, but you aren't sure precisely what to do next. Inertia and indecision keep your feet planted firmly on the carpet. Then, as if directly answering your quandary, your phone buzzes in your pocket. It's a text from Roxy. Read text. It sounds important. You get up to go without even thinking about it. You exit through the sliding glass door and leave it open behind you. And that's chapter 2. So, how are you feeling about chapter 2, chat? Chapter 1 was dreaming in anime, and chapter 2 is, well, you see, ominous. It's a bit ominous. I am going to run a short bit of ads because I need to get up and stretch and drink water, and then we'll be back in about 3 minutes. And now we should be back. Hello, everyone. So this chapter, obviously, we've got Rose examining 3 very core pieces of what underpins the epilogues. Canon, relevance, significance, truth, essentiality, and relevance, right? You need to very, very, very much remember being relevant, essential, and true. Throughout the entirety of post-canon, this idea of relevant, essential, true is the most important concept that it kind of grants you. Rose is not well, and she says that she's not giving John any sort of instructions, but then just hands him a list of instructions, which is very interesting. It's very confusing, right? Where is it? Yeah. I'm really just warning you about it rather than instructing you, and then it's still explicitly called an instruction. Yeah. You can follow my instructions. She contradicts herself. is worth highlighting. And shall we go on to the next chapter? It's a beautiful day in the Carapace Kingdom, just like it was in the Human Kingdom, and just like it was in Salamander Village. For whatever faults this paradise you created might have, you shouldn't hear many complaints about the weather. You're sitting with Roxy and Calliope on a giant chessboard patterned tablecloth. It's a nice touch, you think. But if you spent any time shopping in the Carapace Kingdom, you'd know most things you can buy are chess-themed. Friendly Carapacians go about their day around you, passing through the park with their eyes politely averted as they pretend not to notice that 3 celebrities are having lunch in the grass nearby. It's extra polite of them, because you and Roxy are having a very personal conversation. She looked alright, mostly just tired. At least she seemed to have enough energy to babble at length about philosophical gibberish and things about canon and such. Lamau, guess she just filled you in on all the ultimate self junk then. The what? The shit where she starts knowing everything and feeling bad? Oh, that's not the term she used. She just kept describing it as a condition. You haven't been feeling anything like that, right? What? Getting to know my ultimate self? Yeah. Man, I barely got a hold of my basic ass self. Yeah, she said she was the only one going through this that she knew of. Poor Rose. At least all that medication seems to be keeping her sort of functional. Roxy gives you a serious, sidelong glance. Remember that whole totally unprovoked spiel Rose gave you about substance abuse. She said it wasn't like that. I mean, she said it was under control. Well, what the fuck do I know? The only illicit substance I've ever done is lick that stupid trickster lollipop. Never again. Yeah, W.E. I'll say it's much my business anymore. Rose and I aren't as close as we used to be. You nod, sort of knowingly, because you're thinking about how you hadn't talked to Rose in ages either. Roxy gives you a quizzical look, but you turn away before she can draw meaning from it. Gibberish? Yeah, I know. Do you think that John Egbert knows that it's pronounced gibberish? I don't think he does. Maya's been keeping her real busy since they got hitched. They both vanished down the breeding caverns, and that was pretty much that. Only since she got sick and spent more time at home did we start talking more again. Been great, but our conversations have been a little bit upsetting. And here it comes. The thing you were trying to avoid thinking about the moment Roxy texted you. About how you haven't talked to Roxy in ages either. You were having such a nice time ignoring that fact, too. Change the subject. So, are you and Callie still living at the same place I last saw, the one near the tower? Look towards the bell tower in the distance. It's a Gothic building so tall that it cuts a shadow through the midday sun. It's an important landmark in the kingdom, the tallest structure for miles around. And the only way you can ever navigate your way here, flying. Carapace architecture is otherwise identical. A reflection of their functional collectivist society. Yep. That's cool. It's a nice place. Yeah, I like it here. I've thought about it, but I'll probably never want to live in a different kingdom. Still feel most at home around the chess guys. Makes sense. That's about how I feel about the salamanders, which I realize actually makes no fucking sense. Haha. They lead simple lives. I don't really care for the chaos of human or troll cities. Neither do we. You watch Roxy smile and reach for Calliope's hand. Look away before you start dwelling on it. You start dwelling on it immediately, looking probably quite conspicuous with how quickly you whipped your gaze away. But seriously, what is up with their relationship? Is it romantic? Platonic? Can cherubs even have a romantic relationship? Are they even interested in it on like like on a fundamental level, do their brains and hearts even work that way? Questions like this used to keep you awake at night. You look at them, where Roxy's fingers are entwined with Calliope's green claws. Calliope is still wearing the Ring of Life, the same one you obtained in a ludicrous adventure through the afterlife, and then re-obtained in a ludicrous adventure through canon when it was stolen from you. It's the same one that allowed Calliope to stop being dead in the first place, and to come live with your friends here on your beautifully renovated home planet. It's the same one you gave Roxy all those years ago to fulfill a promise made to a very special new friend. At the time, the gesture felt so important. It felt more meaningful than any gift you'd ever given. Like there was some grand emotional gravitas about it that signified something deeper than what it turned out to be. You have since concluded you were just imagining things, ascribing symbolic meaning to gestures that they simply didn't carry, like the dumb kid you were. Tactfully avoid saying anything at all about Roxy and Calliope's weird, ambiguous relationship. But you can't stop thinking about it, what goes on in Roxy's head, what she thinks about you. You and all your friends have dispositions affected by your classes and aspects. You think you know what that means in your case, but what about her? You can only speculate. Void is a place where things sink and disappear, where they linger forever but cease to exist. You aren't actually sure if your feelings for Roxy ever really faded, or if they just grew numb with time and distance. Is it the same for her? You search your soul for the answer but come up empty. The truth is, you suspect her mental interior is unfathomable. In fact, you feel sure of it. You wonder suddenly, watching her, the version of her, this version of her, that is, the one with whom you share all these bittersweet memories. Will you ever see her again? Ahem. John? What? Please forgive me if I come across as impatient, but if we are finished with the pleasantries, I believe you have a choice to make. Huh? The choice as to whether you will go defeat my brother or stay here. Have you decided yet? There's a choice? Calliope is smiling brightly, but Roxy's face has no expression at all. I was just assuming I had to go, because if I don't, then a lot of stuff will stop being real. Or, I mean, stop being canon? Tell you the truth, I'm a little confused about what will happen if I don't go, but it sounds like it will probably be bad. That may be so. We are not here to caution you about the consequences of your decision, either way. But there's always a choice. Roxy and I merely wish to invite you here for a nice human picnic, and show our support for whichever decision you'll make. TBH, it's a relief to finally be doing this. It is? Mm-hmm. How much have you actually talked about this? I mean, how many people knew this was going to be a thing? Just us and Rose. Well, Dark too, I think. She's been talking to me about it a bunch. And him too, but I don't know how much. He's got like thoughts about all this shit. But whatever, that's not important or even remotely surprising. Bottom line, Rose has been tormenting herself about having to tell you. I'm just glad she finally said it so she can rest. Now it's up to you. Yes, take all the time you need. Again, we aren't here to influence you. It's very important that the decision comes from your desire to go through with it, one way or another. Any tampering could taint the results. Taint the... wait, what? So what'll be, John? A chill runs through you and stays there. Consider the gravitas of this choice. You try, but you can't. because you weren't really prepared for it. You didn't think it was a choice at all until this very second. You think back to the way Rose looked at you before she went to bed. What has she told Roxy that she didn't tell you? The chill tightens around your throat and turns into fear. No, not fear. The feeling is worse than that. It's regret. You wasted your time here on this idyllic restoration of Earth. Why did you spend so much time alone, moping around the house, mourning your dead father, who probably would have wanted you to get more enjoyment out of your teen years, as well as your unusually early retirement? There's so much you could have done. You could have even reached out to Roxy again. Maybe she was waiting for you to do that. Maybe your withdrawal hurt her. Maybe she was heartbroken, just like you kind of feel right now. You study her perfectly stoic face and conclude nothing from it. Her expression reminds you of how Dave used to look when you first met for real, before years of living with Karkas softened him up. Impenetrable cool. It's too late to figure any of this out now. You fucked it up already. Unless, of course, you choose to stay. Upon further examination, you realize Roxy's stoicism isn't cold. There's concern there. She is displaying restraint, keeping quiet while you make up your mind. You're sweating, you realize. Cold sweat. Even worse than the anime nightmare sweat you woke up soaked in this morning. John, you okay? Looked like you were gonna pass out there for a second. Suddenly, Calliope bolts upright. Of course, what was I thinking? This decision is far too important to be made on an empty stomach. She fetches the picnic basket, which naturally has been sitting there on the tablecloth since the moment you arrived. Here, before you choose which path you're going to take, you should decide what you'd like to eat. I've packed a wide variety of provisions, easily enough to satisfy even the most ravenous picnic-goer's appetite. Behold, an array of savory delights for the carnally inclined. Or perhaps something for your sweet tooth, if a lust for treats is what stokes your desire. Calliope produces 2 dishes from the basket and begins gingerly unwrapping them. The unwrapping is so ginger, in fact, that there's something almost dramatic about it. Like the opening theme to that boring sci-fi movie where the monolith and the bone-throwing monkey should be playing as she peels away the cheesecloth. On one plate is a pile of meat, rare, almost bleeding cuts from animals you can't identify. The other plate holds a generous heap of colorful, exotic-looking candy. You scoot to the side and peek into the basket to see if there's anything else. There's a book in there, but no more food. This is all there is. Contemplate your lunch. You put a finger to your lips and focus on the food with great intensity. You stop fretting about choices and heartbreak and eternity and Lord English. Your entire world narrows to a single point of light as you are utterly consumed by the overbearing decision about which of these absurd meals to have for lunch. Meat or candy? Meat or candy? The 2 possibilities pinball around your skull. Meat or candy? It's a tough choice. On any other day, you might be inclined to simply follow the whims of your cravings, but no clear victor surges to the forefront of your mind. Either option offers a tempting means of sustenance. You know the meat will be rich and filling, and if you're being honest with yourself, you haven't had the most robust diet as of late. You didn't even have breakfast. It's probably a good idea to eat something resembling a real meal for once. But you're no stranger to Calliope's tastes, as far as carnivorous comestibles are concerned. You know every cut on that plate is rare to the core. It'll fill your mouth to bursting with juice, lie heavy on your stomach for hours to come as your body works to break down all the nutritious protein and fat. It might be tough to chew. it might be even tougher to swallow. Maybe the candy is the better choice for a picnic like this. Something that'll go down easy and fill you with a bright energy as you pass the time with your friends. You know, you just need to let go sometimes and stop worrying so much about what other people expect of you, or even what you expect of you. It's not a bad thing to enjoy yourself just for the sake of pleasure. But eat too much, and all that sweetness can make you sick. Roxy and Calliope glance at each other in confusion as you deliberate over what to eat. You suppose it's taking you a while to choose, but each dish is appealing enough in certain ways. Each has its potential dietary drawbacks. You don't want to make a decision you can't stomach. Meat or candy, John? Meat or candy? You release your breath when you realize you've been holding it. You're being ridiculous. What's the sense of fussing over lunch? In the end, it really doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, it'll all be flushed down the toilet tomorrow. Just go with your gut. Don't sweat the small stuff. There are much more important things to fuck yourself up over. Choose. Meat or candy. So do you have an idea, chat? Do you know which way you want to go? I think I'm going to play one of the tracks from this one as well. I'm going to make a poll. Meat or candy? Choose. Choose now. We win with candy. Who voted for candy? Doesn't tell you who voted for what, unfortunately. Well, looks like we have our decision. Is everyone ready for candy? Starting with candy is definitely a choice. Aren't you worried you'll get sick? None of you are willing to talk to me, alas. That's so unfortunate. Candy Epilogue 1. Candy was definitely the right choice, John thinks, as he munches thoughtfully on a strawberry swirl mint. It cracks to splinters between his teeth, incredibly tasty splinters, the consistency of which have absolutely no existential baggage to them. The splinters dissolve quickly, leaving behind the impression that they were made of nothing at all, but for a cloying essence determined to linger behind. With some distance from his traumatic anime dreaming, the fatalistic mood he's been walking around with all day seems somewhat melodramatic, embarrassing even. Who has time for nihilism when it's such a beautiful day? You know what? Maybe I'll stay after all. Really? Yeah, now that I've had some time to think about, is Lord English really that big of a deal? You can vote. That's okay. We're off into candy. I mean, I know Rose said it was a big deal. That canon would dissipate if I didn't go do it. Whatever that means. Isn't it just as likely that I could mess up a whole bunch of stuff if I go back there? The idea of going back in time, or back into canon or whatever, and fighting this huge battle that serves some vague purpose I'm not sure I even understand, it feels so heavy. And I'm not feeling that heavy suddenly. I feel kind of the opposite, actually. I feel like maybe I just don't give a shit. I don't mean in a bad way, it's just, well, I'm already here, living my life with my friends, and I think I just want to stay back on Earth. Forget I ever heard of Lord English, and just relax? Is that selfish of me? I don't know. It just seems like a lot of responsibility for one person. So, maybe instead of taking the fate of everyone's existence into my own hands, I should just stay here and try to enjoy life. Even John has to admit, his rationale doesn't sound particularly satisfying. Oh, you could vote using spiders. Spiders could buy you additional votes. So you could rig the poll. You could entirely rig it. I love doing rigged polls that just favor my regulars because, like, why not? So that none of you have to save up enough points to be able to challenge me in, like, Strive or get me to sing. Because fuck you. Even John has to admit, his rationale doesn't sound particularly satisfying. Now that he's reflecting on everything he just said, it really strikes him as a bunch of empty-headed babble. But then again, it's like he was saying, his head does feel lighter. Maybe he doesn't care if his reasoning sucks. Maybe he just doesn't care about any of the high stakes or existential gravity related to his conversation with Rose. Maybe he doesn't care about much of anything except the here and now, the company of his friends, and a pleasant breeze flowing through the park today. He's feeling quite insubstantial when he thinks about it, superficial, and a bit sappy towards his friends. So what if he wants to make an insubstantial, superficial, and sappy decision? Are you absolutely sure about this, John? He looks up at the trees, at the sunlight glittering through the crisscrossing fronds. Has the sky always been that blue? A leaf spirals down lazily and lands on his forehead. He plucks it off and studies the veins running through it. At each fork in the veins, he supposes the leaf as a whole is making a certain kind of decision to go this way or that. It certainly seems like one way of looking at a leaf, now that he bothers to really scrutinize one. It also seems to him, with just as great a sense of clarity, that not one of this leaf's decisions ever mattered to the tiniest fucking bit to anybody. Not to the tree, not to the world, not even to the leaf itself. He flicks the delicate green metaphor away with a flourish of disdain and sudden conviction. Yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever been so sure of anything in my life. Roxy's stoic countenance washes away abruptly and she lets out a happy squeal? No, that's kind of a sexist way to describe it. It's definitely a girly noise though, and not what John was expecting. Without warning, she launches herself into his arms. John, that's amazing! I'm so stoked! She buries her nose in the crook of his neck and starts crying. Huh? She's definitely sniffing a little, and his skin feels wet against hers. John makes incidental eye contact with Calliope when he raises his arms to wrap them around Roxy's back. He's startled for a moment, but Callie's just looking at him with that big, serene smile on her skull. So, okay, this isn't weird or anything, the super intimate physical interaction he's having with her maybe girlfriend right in front of her. It's just that Roxy's been so distant for years, and now John has no idea where the boundaries are drawn. He grins and hugs her back just as hard as she's hugging him. Maybe his friendships aren't as damaged as he worried. Maybe it's like his friends were his actual family this whole time, and they were just waiting for him to pick up the phone, or to come along and hug them. Roxy pulls back and claps excitedly. This is gonna be so effing awesome! Yes, I do think you have made an excellent choice, John. I can already feel the aura of equivocation that's been hanging over us all these years fading. Equivocation? Oh, sorry. What I mean is that I think we've had a hard time moving on from what we experienced in our old universes. Now we can finally put that ugliness behind us. Oh, John, this is amazing. I have such big plans for you. Plans? Stop asking so many questions, dummy. It's gonna be great. It will be more than great. But first, there's one last thing you must do with your retcon powers. Someone that you need to help. Someone that only you can help. Calliope leans in close. The angle of the sun makes it so that she dips into shadow. The sharp recesses of her skeletal face turn those shadows black. For a moment, her voice sounds the way wind does when it howls through a narrow chasm. You must free the bard from his prison. Huh? Did he hear her right? He can't imagine she could possibly mean... Gamzee. Calliope puts her hands together and pulls back, smiling sweetly. Her voice is sugar-sweet again. Let poor Gamzee out of the fridge, John. The time has come. Poor... Gamzee? He's surely learned his lesson by now. If we are to turn over a new page in the story, we should turn that page for everyone. Gamzee must begin seeking redemption immediately. He has suffered enough. Has he? Though? Oh, my yes, absolutely. Are you sure? Of course. John glances at Roxy, seeking support. She smiles at him benignly, apparently having no opinion whatsoever on this topic. Sure, okay, he can't help but make a disgusted face at the thought of it, but he shrugs. Why the hell not? He's feeling lighter, remember? If it's time to let go of his long-held worries and hang-ups, then so too, it may be time to let loose a long-suffering clown. If this is to be the age of redemption, then let it begin, he decides. Not with a bang, but a honk. That sure isn't an initial chapter, isn't it? For Candy. Like one hell of a chapter. Something feels wrong. Like distinctly and disturbingly wrong. Who in their right mind would suggest freeing Gamzee? Well, Calliope, obviously, but... Is Calliope in a right mind? They are immediately acting all wildly out of character. Kind of insane. Just like disturbingly. Every single time I start candy, which is like once. I say every single time, like I've done this more than once. It brings this deep unease over me. I don't know if you feel that. Oh well, it's probably nothing, right? So let's continue. If you have any questions about any of the chapters, by the way, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Hazy, are you still alive? That's, I think, the important question. Hazy's not alive. Hmm. Hello, Hazy. Did you catch any of that? How are you feeling about all of this? Give me your thoughts. I need everyone's thoughts immediately. I've got landfall thoughts. I thought I got automated thoughts, which is that like my Roxy is apparently interesting. I decided like with Roxy, obviously like I'm not black and Roxy is black, right? These are not controversial statements. Roxy is literally black. But because I'm not black and Roxy is black, I'm just leaning into the internet side of her character more. Where she's like a little bit random. You may have not been capable of fully paying attention. That's okay. I can I'm thinking of just putting this VOD up so that like people can see it. Do that, yeah. I mean I might as well save it, right? And then you can go back and listen to me reading all of the stuff. Saying Omg instead of OMG. Yeah. Omg is really funny. It's really funny to me. I love saying it like that. Because in Dutch you do that. You go Omg. Or at least I do. Maybe I'm just weird. So John zaps back to the quietest point in the Frid's impressively storied timeline that he can pinpoint, which is on the land of tombs and Krypton. T-minus about half an hour before his final battle against every dude they all had to fight to get the hell out of Dodge. Yeah, I also say lol instead of LOL. Who says LOL? I said lol and lamau. It's sort of. Not really. It's not really a consonant cluster that happens in Dutch ever. As the name of the land would imply, the planet's surface is covered in tombs, each an ancient skyscraper piercing the brilliant, gaseous thunderclouds above. But there's only one tomb he's come for. A simple household refrigerator, just like the one he grew up with. He pops into cannon at one end of a rooftop, up so high that the chemical storm coursing through the atmosphere sets his hair on end. At the other end of the roof are Dirk and Dave, doing something he'd never thought he'd see. They're hugging. Not just regular non-committal hugging, they are emphatically hugging the shit out of each other. Dave's face is buried in Dirk's side, and Dirk's got both arms around him in a way that looks like he's never actually hugged another human being before. Sensing that this is probably something he shouldn't be seeing, he tiptoes towards Gamzee's would-be sarcophagus as carefully and quietly as he can, and places his hands just above the thick aluminum hull. It says aluminum here because it's American. It's meant to be aluminium. The moment John's palms hit the fridge, Dirk turns to look at him. His head only moves an inch. Slowly, he lowers one eyebrow and returns to his poignant and deeply personal business with Dave, as if he hasn't observed anything worth acknowledging at all. Which John supposes is for the best. He isn't trying to mess up the timeline any more than he needs to. He's only here to steal a refrigerator that has recently been used to entomb a clown. He has enough on his plate with this idiotic heist as is. Can you see my cursor? You can't see my cursor, thank fucking God. I remembered to turn that off. You can when I click into it, but not otherwise. Anyway, he decides to mind his own damn business and get his fridge back to Earthsea. He zaps himself and the fridge back to the same picnic grounds he departed from, while cleverly leaving the chains wrapping the fridge behind on low tack. So, I'm back! Everyone get ready for this fucking guy, I guess. With the same delicacy he'd used to touch a toilet bowl in a public bathroom, he grabs the handle of the fridge and pulls. Gamzee pops out immediately, sweating, gasping for breath, and smelling like socks that have been worn continuously for 2 weeks straight. John rears back and pinches his nose shut. Calliope shoots John a sharp look, like a stern teacher would. I gotta figure out how the hell I voice Gamzee again. How the fuck do I do this? Let me figure that out. I don't remember how I did Gamzee. I forgot to announce my going live on fucking Twitter! No! Everyone, make fun of me. I'm fucking stupid. That. I may be stupid. Anyway, Gamzee is Gamzee is obviously unwell. Gamzee is not a well character. Gamzee is consistently kind of portrayed as kind of sleazy. It's kind of a deeply unfortunate character in very, varying various many ways. Well, it's time to do my best honk. It's going to be bad. Oh my god, I'm getting nervous because I feel like everyone's going to laugh at me. I don't know why. It's okay, it's not that serious. I've just psyched myself out, you know? It being bad is arguably in character. You know? Arguably the most gamsy thing I could do. Just loudly. Honk! Cough! Honk! Honk! Like that. Ah, poor thing. It's alright now. You're alright. Take a moment to catch your breath, Mr. Clown. You'll be just fine. Honk, honk, honk. Oh. Honk. Honk, honk. Oh dear. What is it, sir? Tell us what pains you. Let it all out, friend. We are here for you. Oh god, I need to not embarrass myself with AAV. Apologies to Landfall. I've been a bitch-ass, naughty motherfucker. I'm just gonna deliver it plain. We're not going to try and do any black accent. Calliope nods knowingly and pass him on the back. I up and done some motherfuckers raw. Those motherfuckers, most of all, who I called as my friends. I put the straight up fucking harshness at them, and it wasn't motherfucking nice of me. Not one bit. And now, I'm all at an emotional place from sweating my hard time in the hunger trunk. A fate to which I surely got my deserve on for. And it gave me all time to rethink my lot and get considering to what a right pile of the nastiest garbage I've been my whole motherfucking life. And I got my epiphany going on there. Like all motherfucking bathed in the righteous epiphanies, yo. Pretty much balls out immersed in the emotion breakthroughs, my good ninjas. And I came to getting some of my realizations down right fucking locked. Locked tighter than I was, like a bitch in that fridge. And those realizations being something all motherfucking thusly of sorts. I'm a bad, bad man. And I'm here to fucking redeem my motherfucking self. Honk. Calliope, eyes closed, continues with her sympathetic gestures. She pats him on the back, nods very slowly, issues a mm-hmm now and then. Only while he is distracted by his own sobs does she steal a glance at her phone, tipping the fact that she too wouldn't mind if this redemptive soliloquy could hurry itself along. These redemptive fucking eureka thunderclaps all banging at my think pan. Getting me to go all like, boo-hoo, I'm bad, I'm bad. What I'm saying about is the raw shit I did got some explanations to make you see the truth. The truth that my gnarliness had a motherfucking tentful root causes you gotta indulge me at. Listen up, boys and hoes, cause here comes a bunch of noise that's morally fucking mitigating as shit. Honk. Oh, Jesus. Shh. I been all abused and stuff, homies. As a child, I got motherfucking neglected on by a stern old fatherly goat. I was a disappointment on him, and I can't say as I blame him for abandoning the shit out of his useless kid. I would have motherfucking done the same shit at me if I was a big cruel goat. So that explains, like, pretty sure most of my crimes in a way that makes a motherfucker want to take his forgiveness out for a fucking spin. There's other reasons to consider, like shit that makes this redemption arc fucking tight like an uncracked elixir. Like, how's my purple blood meant I got the culture pressures put on me to be a salty damn jester for life? What about that hand the Messiah's dealt me, my bitches? A motherfucker is gonna envy that like a wicked cod rash. So how can I full and truly fucking get blamed on for when it comes to a little bit of subjugulation I got culturally hornswoggled up to doing? Also tragically goat abused, which needs to make you shed a tear for this motherfucker, lest you want to be as atrocious as me. And such is why I'm grabbing hold of my repentance as firm and serious as I would a whore's titty. My redemption arc is truly the dankness. I mean it hard, and I'm going sincere at it like one sad and sorry bad boy motherfucker. From this day frontward, I plan to get my pledge on to be a changed clown. Truly a new ass motherfucker, thanks to my new friends. Bravo! Fuck yeah! While John's two friends are busy hugging it out with arguably the worst person he has ever met in his life, he tiptoes a few yards away from the group and slips his phone out of his pocket. There's only one person in the universe who can truly understand what John's going through right now. Hey, Terezi, you're around? What do you want? You wouldn't believe what's happening just behind me right now. I probably would. No, you won't. Check it out. John discreetly holds his phone over his shoulder and takes a Snapchat of Gamzee sobbing in Calliope's arms. Roxy is beside them, nodding along solemnly. Holy shit. I know, right? He's crying like a little wriggler. Go over and give it a kick in the codpiece for me. I can't. John, I'm asking you to do a simple favor for an old and dear friend. Do not be difficult. I don't think that would go over well. Everybody's taking this all weirdly seriously. Apparently, we're going to let him have a redemption arc. Yeah, it's, well, what is that to even say? It's literally the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. But what can you do? Shove him back in that fridge and throw it in the ocean is what? Pretty much. Why are you idiots even bothering with this fool again? Don't ask me. This is a Calliope thing. Oh god. I guess you roped Roxy into it, so now I'm just going along with it too. I don't even care, actually. I mean, he smells awful, but... Guess that's just what's happening now. The arsehole clown is back. Life goes on. It didn't need to, though. Not for him, at least. Speaking of life, how's it going out there? Oh, fine. Pretty boring, flying around and stuff. You know how it is. The search continues. Any sign of her yet? You've been gone, like, a really long time, you know? I'm sure you see it that way. From my point of view, it's a little different. Anyway, no turning back now. Yeah, I know. Everybody misses you, though. Probably even... Shudder. Gamzee. Ugh, well, that settles it. I must never return. Sorry, Egbert. I never should have told you about his shitty redemption arc. I blew it. Yep. Anyway, gotta go. Next time we speak, you owe me a report of exactly one punch in the clown dick. Bye, dork. Smiling, he pockets his phone and heads back to the Gamzee pity party. Gamzee sobbing so performatively that many Carapacian civilians have stopped to watch. By the looks on their faces, not a single one of them has ever been exposed to such clown grief. Pulled away from Calliope's embrace, he's now addressing the gathering crowd about the importance of genuine repentance. Calliope comes to stand with John. Her hands folded behind her back, an expression peaceful. Thank you for this, John. You're welcome? Something feels different. But he can't put his finger on it. Oh man, I hate doing Gamzee dialogue, everyone. I feel like... I feel like doing Gamzee dialogue inherently is just racially insensitive, you know? Because Gamzee is kind of inherently racially insensitive. God, I wish there was a good solution to the Gamzee problem. The good solution to the Gamzee problem is to simply for there not to be Gamzee, you know? I wish we did not have to deal with Gamzee. Unfortunately, we have to deal with Gamzee. All of you are suffering along with me on this blessed clown-filled day. This blessed clown-filled redemption. You know? You are in hell. I apologize for having to render Gamzee's soliloquy here. I chose possibly the coward's way out to deliver it according to a sort of Shakespearean monologue. Obviously with none of the actual cadence of a trained actor. But I will gladly take the coward's way out instead of attempting very poorly to do black accent. I guess the better way to do any of this would just be to get you on call with me and for you to do this accent for me. However, I don't think you want to. I don't think you want to be reading out Gamzee dialogue. I don't think anyone wants to be reading out Gamzee dialogue. Honestly. You're good. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, to recover from that, let's take 3 minutes, shall we? And I'll get some more water, and we can all get up a stretch, and we can hopefully put Gamzee behind us. Shall we? Unfortunately, Gamzee will continue being existing, but like that is like the one of the worst Gamzee moments. Let's take 3 minutes. But I hate Gamzee. Actually, I should close the blind. Raining inside. Okay, we're back, everyone. If you have more thoughts about the previous chapter, please tell me. I welcome any sort of comments. But hey, something feels different in a way you can't put your finger on, right? Yes, something feels very different. Dirk's hands begin to shake, so violently that he drops his screwdriver into the chassis of the battlebot he's working on. It clangs around for a bit, landing somewhere that will doubtlessly be very inconvenient to retrieve. Doesn't matter. There's no more time for rap battles or politics or wacky hijinks of an adventurous nature. There's no time left for anything. Moisture beating at his temples, Dirk staggers away from his workbench and braces himself against the wall. His knees are weak, head spinning, palms so sweaty that the concrete feels smooth under them. He nearly drops his phone while attempting to dramatically auto-dial Jane's number through the haze of his trembling, sudorific stupor. Hey, that's a new word. What does sudorific mean, chat? Causing or increasing sweat.
Sudorific.
It's sudorific. I see. I did say it right. Hooray. Hey, Jane. Bad news. Cancel everything. Excuse me, what? All plans. Cancel them. It's over. What's over, Dirk? I just told you everything. Because we're cancelling it. Dirk, are you quite okay? Yeah, I'm cool. You sound terrible. It's unlike you to call quits on a caper like this without offering a lengthy diatribe on it. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. Lengthy diatribes are over too. They're cancelled. Jane gasps loudly, without a hint of irony. I don't understand. Don't worry about it. Just do what I say. He hangs up on her and brings up his contacts so that he can text Jake and cancel all the televised fights for the foreseeable forever. He then blocks Jake's number, because if it's not worth explaining to Jane, it's definitely not worth explaining to Jake. Then again, nothing is ever really worth explaining to Jake. Jake's number's barely even worth storing in his phone, if Dirk is being perfectly honest. Through the workshop window, Dirk can see the sun touching the horizon. Ah, exquisite. He takes a moment to appreciate the sublime synthesis of the atmosphere and the existential crisis he's currently experiencing. The sun is setting both physically and metaphorically right now. Not bad, he thinks, then corrects himself, because while there's always time to delight in the volatility of causality, the whole situation is actually and for real astonishingly bad. Epilogue 2. Oh, in case you're wondering, we go back. This just says 3. We're in like they're split up into things, but they're also like there's more little subchapters than are headings. Yeah. Dirk is checked the fuck out. Dirk is not with us. You can call, but Dirk isn't home. Dirk is not willing. He is refusing, exactly. He doesn't want to be engaged with any of this bullshit. He's physically senses Gamzee returning to the point he gets a cold sweat that like drenches him. And he just gives up. He says, I'm not dealing with Gamzee, and he fucking checks out. Which is, honestly, the morally correct thing to do when confronted with Gamzee. You just don't. Just don't. Just get away. Don't. It's not worth it. No Gamzee. Nope. Goodbye. Rose's eyes flutter open to the sound of a heart monitor and the sight of a featureless white ceiling. Fluorescent lights, diaphanous curtains, everything crisp and clean. A hospital? Wait, this doesn't seem right, she thinks. When she closed her eyes, she was dramatically lingering about her bedroom at home. She'd just taken a handful of pills and said goodbye to John! She shoots up in bed, tugging the IV taped under her elbow. Kanaya is sitting at her bedside, hemming a sundress. She thins her lips and gives Rose a half-lidded look. Yeah. John, I see. Is there something I should know? This is the sort of joke that would have gone over better if it had not been made at this exact moment. With all the distance between them lately, Kanaya's jab lands like a rock plunging into a stagnant pond. Instinctively, Rose raises her hand to her forehead, but there's no pain there. Her head is the clearest it's been in months. Kanaya, what happened? Kanaya throws her sewing product aside and sweeps in close, wrapping a cool palm around Rose's arm. Her voice quakes, but retains most of its porcelain decorum. I came home and found you passed out in front of the load gaper. Your skin was freezing and you were barely breathing. Oh. The doctor said that your heart rate dropped below 30 beats per minute, which as I understand it is somewhat dire. I see. How are you feeling? Rose considers this for a very long time, eyes fixed on the window at the other side of the room. The night is dying behind a thin pale curtain. You can barely see the moon. I feel... She looks back to Kanaya, eyes wide and bright. Kanaya, I feel... fine. It's been such a long time since she's felt anywhere in the same ballpark as fine that it's almost an out-of-body experience to say the word. She feels giddy. No headaches. No headaches, no visions, nothing at all. Wait, is John okay? Where is he? Did he leave? Leave? Oh, no, John's fine. He didn't go anywhere, except I suppose to leave his house for once. Multiple days in a row, even. Oh, excuse me. Rose shuts her eyes and takes a deep breath. For some reason, she's never felt so relieved in her life. She thinks about what she was about to send John off to do, and her feelings of grim urgency surrounding the matter. And yet, for the life of her, she can't bring herself to care about whatever it was she felt was so direly important about his decision. All that matters to her now is that he's safe, in good health, and spending time with those he cares about. And apparently, due to a perfectly inexplicable turn of events. So is she. The door to the room creaks open, and in slips a smiling carapacian in blue scrubs. Rose listens to Kanaya ask fretful questions about her condition. The nurse responds by tapping her clipboard in a musical rhythm. Rose opens her eyes. She stares at the knob of her wrist and frowns. She's not sure why this sensation should be concerning. It's not like her memory is slipping away. She remembers the conversation she had with John this morning quite clearly, as she does the previous years of declining health and troubled obsessive thoughts about canon, dissipation, and other such abstractions. What's slipping away instead is the feeling that any of it mattered at all. Was she insane to be so consumed by such lofty concerns? And is she only beginning to experience clarity today for the first time in ages? When the nurse leaves, Kanaya puts a hand over the wrist that she is so preoccupied with. Is something wrong? It just seems like all of this is happening so quickly, even abruptly. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you prefer for your consciousness to continue to disintegrate? Don't be ridiculous, Kanaya. What I would prefer is to be here with you. Really here with you. For the first time in a long time. Kanaya tips her face away from the light to hide it in the curve of her shoulder. Rose reaches out and takes her wife's hands in her own. They're colder than she remembers. Are you crying? Since when have I been known to cry? Quite often, actually, but usually because you're angry. Well, I'm not angry. It was hard on you, wasn't it? My illness, combined with all your duties to the Mother Grub, the pressures of the changing political situation. With all that on your mind, it can't have been pleasant to have to come home and take care of me as well. I can see now that it was all terribly unfair to you. It was nobody's fault, Rose, so please don't take any undue responsibility onto your shoulders. Since when have I been known to do such a thing? Kanaya's lips twitch into a smile, and she laughs, sadly. Her laughter forces the tears out. They drip down her perfectly made-up face in thick trails. I really did think I had lost you. It's not that I thought you would die. It was that you felt so far away. What you were going through was something that I could not possibly understand, no matter how patient I was or how deeply I loved you. There was a feeling I couldn't shake that something terrible was going to happen to us. Something that neither of us could stop. A powerful outside force that would take you away from me. And I couldn't stop myself from thinking that maybe that it would be for the best. Kanaya, I can now see that this is completely ridiculous. Kanaya laughs again, gaily this time, as if some terrible dark weight has been lifted from her shoulders. She lets out a thin, shaky breath afterward. It's like the noise fills the room back up with oxygen. Rose hadn't realized that she'd held her breath at all. The shadow hanging over Kanaya's thoughts was hanging over hers as well. But now that she said it aloud, the darkness dissipates without ever materializing into its true shape. Rose uses the hem of her hospital gown to wipe the tears off Kanaya's face. It really is. Honestly, Kanaya, I've never heard such a ridiculous thing in my life. You're talking to me as if I am a pupa again. I'm sorry. No, do not apologize. It has been a very long time since you've had the energy to use such a condescending tone of voice. And as you know, it's one of the things about you I find most adorable. I can imagine how adorable I've been, drifting around the house like a sweaty, drugged-up ghost. Well, you know how I feel about the careless imbibing of human intoxicants. You were still very adorable. Not to be trite, but there is nothing that could make you not beautiful to me. What a relief, considering that we are both going to be young and magically fit, literally forever. Kanaya presses a snotty, uncharacteristically imperfect kiss to the back of Rose's hand, right beneath where she wears her wedding ring. If you would have me forever. Who else? There's no one else who understands me like you, Kanaya. No one who looks at me the way you do. No one who brings me back down to earth with ceaseless, brutal honesty like you do. I have no idea what I'd do without you. You would probably do just fine. Yes, but I'd be very unhappy. They smile at each other as the first rays of the sunrise peek through the blinds. This is a very sweet chapter, obviously. I want to screenshot this and post it in the Godfeel server so that I can talk about it. Hydration check. I've been drinking water, Hazy, don't worry. If I hadn't, I would be very dead right now. My throat is starting to get a little sore. So I think I'm going to do one more chapter. Oh, I gotta remember how to do Jade. And Carcat. Oh god, I need to do Carcat with a voice that's already dying. Yeah, it's definitely going to have to end after this chapter. Right? Jade is Genki. Jade is a Genki character. Did you hear that John left his house? Multiple days in a row, even. And then Carcat is gravelly and loud. No fucking way. That's incredible. I've never heard of such a thing. Someone leaving their house? Stop the fucking presses. Carcat. The slow news day in the Consort Kingdom or something. Jade finishes pruning a dead bulb of her arum lily plant and flicks it at Carcat's forehead. Then she politely pulls the blinds shut, because God forbid even a sliver of sunlight ever infect Dave and Carcat's hive. Jade doesn't live here, technically, but there's domestic evidence of her all over the hive. Her plants, her base, her clothes slung over the couch where she sleeps for weeks at a time. I'm being serious, Dumpass. I was really worried about him. I'm being serious too. I was actually beginning to wonder if John had died. What the fuck were we supposed to do about it? It's not like he answers the phone. Well, if you care so much, then maybe don't respond with sarcasm when I tell you he's getting better. Guys, it's not a competition. We were all worried about John. Were we? When's the last time either of you tried to hang out with him? When's the last time either of us left the hive? Yeah, Shudden's living in Glass Hive shouldn't throw her. Actually, if we lived in a glass hive, way too much light would come in for Carcat's brutal photosensitivity issues. We'd probably cover all the walls with like lots of curtains and sheets of thick fabric. So I guess maybe we could throw stones, like kind of small ones, so that the fabric could easily absorb the momentum. Also, me and Carcat would probably be too lazy to throw the stones that hard anyway. So I think actually the scenario is pretty workable here. It provides for a certain threshold of allowable minimum hypocrisy. Dave, this sucks. No, it doesn't. I'm giving thoughtful and critical consideration to a cliche which is long past due. A glass house with wall-to-wall curtains creates what I'm going to theorize as an incredibly important self-owning buffer. This is a huge breakthrough and it's also fucking science. You of all people should appreciate the work being done here. Oh my god! I never thought I'd be thinking of you as my weird nerd friend by the time we were in our 20s. Yeah, well, I never thought you'd be like the premier woo girl on the planet. What are you even doing here with us? Don't you usually spend your weekends at 48-hour interspecies raves or doing Arctic expeditions with Jake or whatever? Those two things are not always mutually exclusive. Heh. Ugh. Jade floats over to the couch, shooting her two besties a salacious smile. She taps Carcat on the nose as she passes by. I'm just enjoying my youth. You could be enjoying it too. She retrieves one of her bras from where it's hanging over the back of the couch. She starts changing it right there, doing that mystical sleight of hand girls seem to be born with the knowledge of, where the bra goes off and then on again without the shirt being removed. Jade doesn't exactly have the best understanding of interpersonal boundaries, having been raised mostly by a dog, but still. It's weird, intimate, and uncomfortably close to sexual thing. It's a weird, intimate, and uncomfortably close to sexual thing to be doing in front of other people. Dave and Karkat share a vaguely mortified look. Jade sort of lives here, but she doesn't that sort of live here. But seriously, what do you two even do holding here together all the time? Karkat snorts, still pointedly not looking at her. Oh, I'm sorry. Have you not seen Dave's ill-begotten art empire? He's got his opposable digits stuck in so many double-stack hustlers that I don't even know all his pen names. Okay, so that's what Dave does. What do you do? Jade puts her feet on the floor and pads over so she can sling her arms over the back of the couch and lay her cheek on the cushions. The look she gives Karkat is just shy of devious. Karkat defensively scuttles to the other end of the couch, where he ends up pressed flush against Dave's entire left side. Sit around and play video games all day? Hey, that's not the only thing I do. I've done laundry once or twice. Also, what humans refer to as groceries, I do the groceries. That's not a fucking figure of speech, man. You don't do the groceries, you go out and buy them, and even then you don't actually do that. Like, fuck, Dave puts both hands over Karkat's mouth and does a stage whisper over his shoulder. He means that he uses the alchemizer in the basement sometimes. Whose side are you on? Oh, and when he's in a bad mood, he'll go yell at trolls on the internet. Not like trolls as in the troll species, I mean literal trolls who talk shit online. But I don't know, a bunch of them could be actual trolls, I guess, but not strictly. Dave! Don't fucking tell her about that! Dave reaches around Karkat's face to give him a gentle poke in the cheek. He keeps his finger there longer than strictly necessary, smiling the noticeably restrained smile characteristic of Striders. The expression is so warm and blatant that it can't help but draw Jay's attention. She frowns and pushes her glasses up the bridge of her nose, making some quick calculations in her head. They're so obvious, she thinks, and yet here they are. Virginal losers who are performative about sitting exactly a foot apart whenever they're in public. It's so pathetic, it makes her want to howl at the moon in sorrow. What she's planning isn't a seduction, it's a public service. Why not, dude? I think it's cute. He's on all the major political sites, of course, but he spends most of his time going after people who leave abusive comments on my sweet bro and hella Jeff posts. Like, he's got a whole complex network of burner accounts and sock puppets on my homepage set up for every possible scenario. Jesus Christ. It's incredible he's driven at least 10 people off the site by creating Sydneyville parody accounts of their usernames. Stop talking about this! My exploits are heroic! Go absolutely fuck yourself! Karkat, shush. I'm so proud of you. Couldn't have done better myself. Well, I mean, I definitely could have, but I have better things to do with my time. Thank you, Dave. That was heartwarming and not even a little bit embarrassing. Consider my honor undeniably defended. Actually, Karkat, it's more like you're the one defending his honor. That's so cute. A knight white knighting for another knight. Dave, it's like Karkat's your adorable little house husband. What the fuck is a husband? Dave unpokes his finger from Karkat's cheek and tries to shimmy some space between them on the couch. But there's nowhere to go. Karkat is sandwiched between him and Jade, who's reaching out to put 2 fingers over her own at the center of his chest. He bounces them there a few times, enjoying the way troll skin is just a bit thicker than human skin, taut like the membrane over a poorly maintained drum. A husband? She begins walking her fingers up the length of Karkat's sternum. Karkat knows damned well what a husband is. He's been force-fed enough bad movies from Dave to pick up any human euphemism you could name. He still plays dumb sometimes, for comedic effect, to irritate his friends or to simply avoid a topic of conversation altogether. If he'd known it would only fan the flames of discussion in this case, he would have kept his mouth shut. Husband is a little like what you both do already, only with certain benefits. Her fingers reach the hollow of Karkat's throat just in time to catch him swallow. He starts to sweat. What kind of benefits? Don't play dumb, Karkat. Jade, dude, come on, leave him alone. Jade does not come on. She glides her fingers up under Karkat's chin so that they can rest on his lips, which are a little chapped. It doesn't take much work to pop them open and slide both fingers in. If you're really that clueless, I can show you. Karkat looks like an animal with its leg caught in a trap, eyes flickering, breath getting shallow. His bottom lip is trembling where Jade is stroking it with her thumb. It would be pretty easy to mistake his reaction for arousal, so it's understandable that Jade is extremely surprised when Karkat snaps his jaw shut and chomps down on her hand. Ow! She flies back, literally spiraling up towards the ceiling so fast that her skirt puffs up and she gets all tangled in her clothes for a few seconds. She clutches her wounded hand and glares daggers at Karkat, ears flat under her long, dark hair. Karkat, what the hell? What the hell? You're seriously asking me? What the hell? Jade, you were trying to choke me to death with your weird soft human fingers. What were you trying to do? Reach into my chest and pull out my fucking pump biscuit for a midday snack? Is this because you're half bark beast now? No! I was flirting, you dummy! Oh my god, you two really are hopeless. Why do you even waste my time? That's a good fucking question. Jade is pissed, but not enough to leave. Instead, she plops down on the opposite end of the couch and petulantly crosses her arms. Karkat peels himself off Dave and slumps into the dip between cushions while settling even more deeply into one of his better practice pouts. Dave clears his throat. So apropos of nothing, just a cool segue into a completely different topic for no reason. Jade and Karkat both stare at him. He makes a casual motion with his hand, a smooth wrist swivel, like he's at a turntable scratching one song into the next. That's the effect he's going for, at least. Did you guys hear that Jane was going to run for high office? No fucking way. Oh, wow. You mean... Yep, the fucking presidency of RC. I mean, she's been positioning her megacorp and stocks in a way that looks super suspicious for the last year or so I'd wonder about it. But I didn't think she'd actually do it. Nah, she was only going to pull the trigger on it after all these years, but decided against it at the last minute for some reason. Thank fucking God. That would have been a complete disaster. I know, right? That's what I said when Roxy told me, especially for the economy. Really? The economy? That's what you think is bad about it? Oh yeah, and the troll thing is bad too, I guess. Okay, so let me get this straight. Your priorities are, number one, the economy, which let me remind you, is built entirely on infinite fake money that we can make as much of as we want. Number two, the potential genocide of my people. Okay, wow, let's like slow a roll here. Let's slow any roll that makes me seem more xenophobic than I am, okay? Whatever you say, Dave, not xenophobic Strider. That's good. Let's keep using the phrase not xenophobic in sentences that contain my name. Sure, man. That doesn't sound like something a xenophobe shithead would say at all. Look, man, I'm not the bad guy here. Jane is, or was, until she decided not to run for president. Let's all just thank whatever Christ was responsible for making whatever decision resulted in her deciding not to do that. What? Don't change the subject, xenophobe. No, look, I'll be the first to say that Jane is xenophobic as fuck. I'm not, like at all, but she is. Okay, dude. But I don't think she'd go as far as to commit genocide. That's really exaggerating her faults. Like, we have to get pretty far away from the people we were when we started all of this for that to be a viable outcome. Well, I hope she gets a better hobby. There are lots of less ominous things she could do with her time. What? Like fucking her way through half the population of Earthsea? Jade pinches his ear and twists hard, smiling pleasantly. Get fucked, Karkat. What a deeply and distinctly uncomfortable chapter. Like, holy shit, man. I don't know if this or Gamzee is more uncomfortable, but it's probably just Gamzee, honestly. It's so bad. It really is. Like, you have to choose between this. You get Gamzee, and then you get like 2 chapters of respite, and then you get this again. It's like, what the fuck are you meant to do here, right? I have something for everyone, though. We have something interesting. Jade is completely right. Has done nothing wrong. Wow. So you might know BB Panzu, right? Let's draw this up. Because we have a fun little video. We have a fun little video about the previous interaction. Anyone ready for Ollie's Heat? Let's put that under my PNG tube, actually. Yep. Hello. I'm back. Of course, this is BB Panzu. I can link the video afterwards. Yeah. What an uncomfortable interaction. Aren't we all happy that we have it in video form as well? Thank you, BB Panzu, for being incredibly cool. That's the video, by the way. It's over here. I know, right? Average cockcat reaction when someone tries to actually communicate what they want from him, and like he doesn't communicate anything until he just fucking bites someone. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Oh well. How long is this one? Not very long. So let's go ahead with another one, shall we? Oh, this one's also great. Ooh, I remember this. No one is answering the door to Jake's mansion, so Jane lets herself in. There's almost no crime on Earthsea, and almost no one locks their door. In fact, most doors do not have locks, which has been terribly unfair to the struggling locksmith industry. Once, at John's 18th birthday, Dave Strider engaged Jane in a shockingly aggressive debate about the economy in which he accused her of supporting neoliberal corporate welfare for pointing out this exact problem, which was, well, such a baffling incident that Jane is still thinking about it at absolutely random intervals 5 years later. She has an honorary business degree from almost every university on the planet. Dave hasn't even finished middle school. What does he know about the effective and ethical rigors of corporate bailouts? Well, Jane thinks with a heavy sigh. Now that she's not running for president, it doesn't really matter, does it? Jake? Jane feels rather like a princess in an animated film with the way her voice echoes up 3 flights of circular staircase. The mansion is dark and cramped. Tall, narrow halls, Gothic arches, rooms stuffed in all corners with kitschy junk. Jake has a taste for velvet paintings and faux antique candelabras, which mesh less than harmoniously with the backdrop of his paisley wallpaper. Blue light filters in from the stained glass windows on the top floor to the foyer, where depictions of cerulean sirens lounge against surprisingly tasteful modernist backdrops. Jane calls his name again, lifting her skirt so that she can climb the stairs one step at a time. From the second floor, she hears a sudden and awful noise. Boots scrabbling against wood, glass shattering, hard objects hitting the wall, and the unmistakable roar of a rifle firing. She sprints the rest of the staircase and runs down the hall, clack, 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 in her expensive, but understated, kitten heels. Jake, where are you? The big oak door at the end of the hallway swings open, spilling orange lamplight into the darkness. Jake steps out, looking ruffled but handsome in corduroy shorts and a dress shirt buttoned up to the mid-sternum. There's a smudge of gunpowder on his cheek. His whole face lights up when he sees Jane. I need to remember how to do Jake. Oh, Jane, how unexpected. Are you alright? What? Of course. Why wouldn't I be? I heard a terrible noise. What was all the racket? Oh, this? Jake grins and holds up a rifle, which is still smoking from the muzzle. Just a little morning target practice. He kicks the door all the way open behind him to show what's up. A circular sitting room festooned with Christmas lights and paper targets, all of which look as if they've been hit many times with bullets. There's a battle bot hanging out by the fireplace at the back. holding an armful of bottles and surrounded by a sea of broken glass. You do this inside the house? He looks at her like she's the stupid one. Well, of course, Jane. Where else would I do it? Bringing this operation outside would only startle the neighbors. Jane's mouth opens and then hangs there for a moment as she decides whether or not this particular conversation on household propriety is worth having. Sometimes Jake simply cannot be blamed for the foolish things he does. After all, he literally grew up in the woods. Instead, she enters the room and takes a seat in one of the ostentatiously cushioned bergère chairs, careful to step around the puddles of cracked glass. Hey, do you notice the little parallel going on here, right? I don't know if you've noticed, but two other than Roxy, like other than the Strylons, right? Jade and Jake are the second batch of most racially coded beta, like humans. With Roxy, it's explicit that she's black, and then kind of the rest of the Strylons follow from that, right? But Jade and Jake are kind of less textual. But it's very strongly implied that considering they grew up on an island, that they're, if not black, then Pacifica or some other racial minority. And both of them are said to not be able to understand human norms because they grew up in the middle of nowhere on an island. It was said about Jade because she grew up with a dog, and it's said about Jake because he grew up in the middle of an island, even though he literally did have a mother. I must ask, Jane, it seems that you are rather frazzled. Are you sure you aren't the one who's not alright? Jane rests her temple in her palm. Jake grabs another one of his ridiculous fake Victorian chairs by the back and swivels it around so that he's sitting across from her. Have you talked to Dirk lately? Not exactly. I would say that I have been talked to by Dirk, but the communique has certainly not been two-sided. Ah, yes. It seems that we're in the same boat then. I haven't heard from him. I stopped by his workshop, but it was locked. If he was in there, he wouldn't come out. Dirk was the one person on Earthsea who took the state of the locksmith industry with the seriousness it deserved. Jake scoffs and flops a hand. Both actions are dismissive. I don't see what all the ruckus is. Our good chum Dirk fancies himself a dark and tortured soul. Cutting us off is not entirely out of his wheelhouse. Yes, but not like this. It's been years since he's done a full blackout on us. Oh, I'm terribly worried. You worry far too much, Jane. Life has become so peaceable on this new planet of ours that I suppose Dirk is merely tired of this idyllic life. It's either driven him permanently or temporarily insane. That's my theory, at least. Maybe it's Tommy rot, but I have faith that Dirk will be back. After all, where is he going to go? You seem rather cavalier about all this. Like, even more cavalier than you usually are. Jake laughs, all uneven, and runs a hand through his attractively tousled hair. I must admit, I'm rather half-rats at the moment. You're what? Haha, sorry, that was a pretty obtuse way of putting it, wasn't it? What I mean to say is that I've been powdering my hair quite a bit today. He makes a motion like knocking back a bottle. Jade side-eyes the idling battlebot, flush with empty wine bottles, and then side-eyes Jake. First thing in the morning? Well, I needed the bottles for my target practice, Jane. I couldn't just pour the wine down the drain. That'd be a waste. Jane frowns and leans forward on her knees so that she can examine Jake more clearly. She sees it now, the unspecifically precise movement that comes from overcorrecting drunken body language. The unfocus of the eyes. That was a very detailed thesis he had on Dirk's potential psychology, almost like he'd been giving it a good think. He knew that Jake and Dirk were not officially together, and had not been for some time, but their lives were still inexorably entwined on basically every level for some reason she did not understand. One might even say codependently. No matter what he said, this had to be affecting him as well. Jane lets out a fluttering breath. You know what, Jake? You're right. It really would be a waste. He pushes out of the chair and goes to retrieve one of the unopened wine bottles sitting over the fireplace. They're all screw top because Jake isn't that classy. In fact, he isn't classy at all. His veneer of classiness is about as authentic as an off-brand Halloween mask. Jane has no idea why she can't get him out of her system, even after all these years. She braces herself on the mantel and knocks her head back, taking a long, uninterrupted swig right from the bottle. Jeepers, Jane, slow down. Jane keeps gulping. She drinks until she can't stand it, then breaks off, shaking her head and letting out an ungraceful hiss. Golly, that is cheap Merlot. Her vision is already swimming. Spilling a bit of wine on herself, she spins around to stare at the silent battlebot. It's got his hand out, waiting for her to hand over the bottle. Could you leave us alone, please? The battlebot tips his head at her with a click whir, and looks at Jake, who traitorously offers exactly zero backup. Dejectedly, the bot shuffles its way out of the room, but not before dropping every single one of the bottles it was holding so that they make as much noise as possible when hitting the floor. It slams the door behind it. Ah, yes, Jane thinks. Scorched earth policy. That robot was indeed programmed by Dark Strider. Jake is staring at Jane, wide-eyed behind his spectacles. Jane, I must ask again, are you quite all right? Actually, no, I'm quite not. I will say, you really seem like you've got quite the morbs. He staggers back to her seat and takes another swig of disgusting wine. I cancelled my presidential bid. What? I was under the impression that you were awfully chuffed about that. I was so incredibly chuffed about it, Jake. But Dirk called me just before his disappearance and told me to cancel everything, and so... Jane puts her face in her hand, miserably. I cancelled everything. Why, Jane, do you really need Dirk to run for president? I know that he had set himself up as your plenipotentiary, but it seems to me that you have everything you need to win the day without him. Jane looks up at Jake from between her fingers and under her bangs. Well, yes, I suppose that I could run a successful presidential campaign on my own merits, especially since Dirk and I developed most of our strategy together. But now that I've pulled out, I can't just go back and tell them I've changed my mind. That would be so embarrassing. It would make me look wishy-washy. I can see the headlines now, calling me a terminal flip-flopper. Also, somehow, it just doesn't seem right without Dirk. Jake pries the wine bottle from her hand gently. He takes a drink from it, less gently. Dirk has a manner about him, does he not? A way about him that makes you feel like whatever you do, as long as it does not involve him, it doesn't count for dick. He sounds a little bitter. Jane blinks at him. I hadn't thought about it that way. But yes, ever since I talked to him, I felt strange. Her whole body is numb and floaty. Sure, she chugs the wine, but it's strange to have gotten drunk so fast, isn't it? Especially since she spends several nights a month drinking much harder and fancier drinks at investor dinners. Jake passes the bottle back, and she takes another drink. Strange how? Strange like you just explained. Like nothing I do matters. I should be more upset that I spoiled my chance of running for president, but for some reason I find myself not really caring. And that's what I'm actually so upset about. The fact that I don't care. Instead, when did Jake scoot his chair closer? They're sitting packed so tight now that his bare knees are brushing hers. The air between them is warm and wine-soaked. Jake takes another serious look at him. At his elegant jawline, his dark eyelashes, his handsome nose. It really is unfair that he's so good-looking, while also being so... Jake. But this is nice, she thinks. When was the last time they talked? Really talked? been such a long time that she's almost surprised how good he's being to her right now, considering that she walked in on him in peak English disaster mode. Was it always this easy to talk to him? Maybe because of the wine, and maybe just because she wants to. Jane reaches out and sets a hand on his thigh. She leans in closer until she can feel his breath on her face. Oh, this is mortifying to admit, but I've been thinking that perhaps I've been doing the wrong thing with my life. Instead of all this business politicking, I've been doing what I'd really like is to settle down and raise a family. Does that sound ridiculous? Why, that doesn't sound ridiculous at all. It's just that I never heard you express such sentiments before. Except for, of course, that time when you were under mind control and had me trussed up in your lair as you pontificated villainously about using me as a breeding stud to create a blood lineage for your incumbent corporate space empire. Oh. You still remember that? Jane, you're one of my most cherished friends. I couldn't possibly forget a single moment we spent together, no matter how sexually uncomfortable the situation may have been. Jane feels herself turn red. Why did she think this would be so easy? Jake English was kind of a slut, true, but also their relationship was an emotional minefield. She raises her hand down to cup his knee, rolls her thumb into the dip of the joint there, and tries to remember the drunken advice on matters of seduction Jade gave her once when she was foolish enough to take a weekend off and go on one of her and Jake's expeditions. She can't for the life of her remember the substance of any of her lessons, though. Jake is still staring at her, drunk and enraptured, ventures deeper into his personal space. Well, Jake, it doesn't always have to be that way. Putting business first, ignoring the good things in my life, chasing profit, I'm sick of it. I think that I could be loving. I could be a good wife. For the kind of man who needs a good wife in his life. Like, say, an eligible bachelor with 100 empty rooms in his house and no one to help clean them. Who's been recently and mysteriously abandoned by his long-term companion, or whoever he was. Someone handsome and lonely, and who knows me well enough that we need not fear showing each other our less savory sides. Such as being drunk at 9 in the morning. Oh, Jake, isn't that the dream? Jake slants close, casting a shadow over her face. His eyes are so green, and they're glittering with naked adoration. For her. It's all for her. He nudges a knuckle back under her chin and tips her face towards him. Jane! He's so close that Jane thinks he might kiss her. He shuts her eyes and lets his husky wine breath wash over her face. Instead of kissing her, he says, I say this as sincerely as one of your oldest and dearest friends. I hope that you have luck in finding a charming and bricky bloke who will summarily impregnate you with as much swiftness as possible and be a responsible father for your children. And nothing for you I want more. Jane's mouth drops open. What was she expecting? But Jake doesn't register her mortification or frustration either. He just keeps smiling and gazing into her eyes, warm and drunk. Well then. With a deep sigh, Jane shoves Jake off of her and stumbles back to where his horrendous tasting wine is stored. She pops open a bottle of briny smelling Moscato and tips it back. This embarrassing encounter isn't going to forget itself. Jake Arrow moment. Yeah, a little bit. Yes, but also... I think that, as much as it's a Jake Arrow moment, I think he also does it intentionally, you know? This is not contradictory with him being Arrow. You think Jake knows? Yeah. Yeah, I think Jake knows. He's just saying the kind of shit you'd pull. I'm going to say something to you, Brioche, which is that this is definitely a your parents chapter. This is like absolutely your parents. This is like 100% your parents. It is, yeah. He's definitely rejecting her, yeah. Colin's been spending a lot of time with Roxy lately. Which also means spending a lot of time with Calliope, which is awkward, but fine. But it also means spending a lot of time with Gamzee, which is awkward and not even remotely fine. I said I was going to stop here, and I think I am because my throat is fucking dying. So let me go see if there's anyone we can raid. Anyone that I'm following. I want to go hang out with my friends, you know? Nope, I don't know anyone. Well, do any of you have anyone you're following who's live right now? Scarlet Hollow. I'm only sleeping. Studying and naming books. Let me look at the VTubers category. Weekend hiking with cute girls. Art fights. Skywood, Subathon. Deltarune. Melee. Art. Vampire the Masquerade. Old stuff. Outfit debut. There's a lot of VTubers. Emma is 3.3k, well. Let's go for someone small. There's Curse of Strahd. What do you want to watch, chat? You still have the function to go to? I'm glad that you still get to go to the function. That sounds good. That's a lot of art fight. There's Hades. Victory Road. Let me go look at this one. Oh, Mia's a little asleep apparently. You like bug girls. Oh my god, this artist is really cool looking. Let's go join the stream. Yep, we're going to Umigumi, everyone. And I'll see you all later. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a nice time. I hope to see you again next week for Homestuck. I'm going to be making my schedule tomorrow, probably, before I do the tournament stream. We'll decide on what we're doing. On Thursday, I'm not going to be streaming because I'm going to be going to a picnic. And then I'll definitely see you all again on Tuesday, though. I just have to decide what to do. Might be more Umineko. Thank you all for hanging out, and let's go raid!